Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today I'm going to talk about two Maison Alhambra fragrances. The first one is called Perseus Exclusif and this one is a clone of Parfum de Marly's Pegasus Exclusif, and the second one is called simply Karat. This one is a clone of Tiziana Terenzi's Kirke, but you can also think of this one as an alternative to Xerjoff's Herba Pura. The first one that I'm going to talk about today will be Perseus Exclusif. The fragrance comes packaged in this very simplistic looking sort of a black bottle with a black box with silver accents. On the front there's the name of the fragrance, the name of the company, the logo of Maison Alhambra, the concentration, EDP, the bottle size 100 milliliters. On the top you got some additional Maison Alhambra branding. On the back there's a sticker of authenticity, and on the bottom there's a production date which is August of 2023. And once you take out the bottle, this is how the bottle looks. All of the Maison Alhambra, fragrances that are cloning Parfum de Marly scents have pretty much the same bottle design. I've said this before, but I really am not a huge fan of the bottle design. The note breakdown of Perseus Exclusif has the following notes. The top notes are heliotop, cardamom, bergamot and red pepper. The middle notes are almond, lavender, jasmine and geranium. And the base notes are sandalwood, vanilla, guaiac and ambergris. I'll show you the sprayer in action and then I'll talk about the scent of Perseus Exclusif from Maison Alhambra. The sprayer is actually pretty decent. And now onto the scent of this fragrance. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, this fragrance is a clone of Parfum de Marly's Pegasus Exclusif. And it's pretty similar to the original fragrance, although in the opening there are a few minor differences. This opens up with, quite a lot of sweetness in the opening, a lot of that vanilla sweetness, and also quite a lot of the almond note is present right after you spray this fragrance. There's a hint of something fresh that's coming from the bergamot note, although that's not very strong. It's also quite spicy. The cardamom is pretty noticeable in this fragrance, but the main notes in this one are, especially in the opening, are the vanilla and the almond with a bit of spiciness, a bit of greenness and a bit of freshness. When this fragrance goes into the dry down, it becomes a little bit sweeter and it becomes a little bit more woodsy. The guaiac note in this fragrance is quite strong on the dry down, and the dry down is mainly about the mix of the vanilla, the almond and that guaiac note. There are a few supportive players, but for me these are the main players on the dry down. It's quite sweet, but not overly sweet, feels quite nutty as well because of the strong almond note. All in all, it's an interesting scent that is definitely unisex in my opinion, although a lot of people think of the original and this one as a masculine fragrance. To my nose, this feels quite unisex. Also, there's a bit of a powdery feel out of this one. Maybe there's a tonka bean note on the dry down of this fragrance. When it comes to how close this fragrance is, to me the opening is slightly different compared to the original. The dry down is where this fragrance becomes a lot closer to Pegasus Exclusif, but all around, if you are familiar with Pegasus and Pegasus Exclusif, you'll immediately recognize that Perseus Exclusif is trying to clone or copy that original fragrance. When it comes to performance, it's been a pretty decent performer, about 7 to 7.5 hours of performance and about 1.5 hours of moderate projection. When it comes to the price tag, I'm usually quoting the prices that I'm paying for my fragrances, and I paid less than 20 euros to get this one, which makes it a very, very inexpensive Parfums de Marly clone. And when it comes to versatility, this fragrance is definitely more orientated towards the colder months of the year, because it's just a bit too sweet and a bit too nutty in my opinion to work in warm weather, although you can get away with this one in late spring and early fall, but I would not use this one in summertime, and also I think it's almost perfectly unisex. And now moving on to the second Maison Alhambra fragrance that I'm going to talk about today, which is called Simply Karat. The fragrance comes packaged in this squarish looking box that is mainly predominantly in black color with golden and white accents. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, you get the concentration, which is EDP, again 100 milliliter bottle size. You get some Maison Alhambra branding on the top and on the back, sticker of authenticity. There's also a production date somewhere in here which reads May of 2023. In order to get to the bottle, you need to slide any of the two parts of the box like this, and once you do that, you take out the bottle, and this is how the bottle looks. It has an interesting design. It's a very sort of a large and heavy bottle, actually one of the heaviest bottles that I have in my collection. The note breakdown of Maison Alhambra's Karat has the following notes. The top notes are peach, passion fruit, pear, herbal notes, earthy notes, cassis and raspberry. The middle notes is just one middle note, which is lily of the valley, and the base notes are musk, sandalwood, vanilla, heliotop and patchouli. I'll show you the sprayer in action, which unfortunately isn't as good as the one on Perseus Exclusif. And now onto the scent of Karat. As I said in the beginning of the video, this fragrance is cloning Tiziana Terenzi's Kirke. It can also serve as an alternative to Herba Pura from Xerjoff. You get a very similar fruity, vanillic, slightly fresh and sort of an musky scent profile. But this actually is done pretty nicely. The opening is all about the mix of the fruits. Out of all the fruits that I read to you from the note breakdown, the strongest one that I pick up are the peach and the pear notes that are accompanied by some kind of freshness. I'm not sure where it comes from because they're not citruses mentioned in the note breakdown, but there's definitely something fresh in the opening of this fragrance that just adds a bit of a light touch, a bit of a fresh touch to this one. You immediately get quite a lot of sweetness as well from the vanilla and maybe a hint of ambery sweetness as well, but the opening is mostly fruity and fresh with a hint of vanillic and ambery sweetness. On the dry down, this loses some of the freshness, although it still remains sort of a light and fresh type of scent. On the dry down, it becomes a little bit more musky, the musk note starts to kick in, although this is not a very musky fragrance, and the vanilla and amber sweetness, they become a little bit stronger. All in all, it's a nice, easy to wear, light, fruity, slightly musky and sweet scent. I've been enjoying this one, although in my opinion this leans quite a bit to the feminine side. When it comes to how close this is to the original scents that it is copying, in my opinion this feels fresher than Kirke. It also feels less sweet and less musky. All around it's like a fresher, more airy take on the original DNA, but it definitely carries a very strong similarities to the original fragrances. When it comes to performance, it's been a decent performer. Most of the time my wife has actually worn this fragrance, and in my experience and her experience, the performance here has been about 7 hours of longevity with about an hour and a half of moderate projection. The price tag, a little bit more expensive than the previous fragrance that I just showed you. This one costs, at least around here, costs about 21-22 euros. Still a pretty decent deal and a fraction of the price of the original. Versatility wise, a very versatile fragrance that works all year round, although it's best suited for the warmer months of the year. An unisex fragrance that definitely leans to the feminine side. And now a few final words about Perseus Exclusif and Karat, both from Maison Alhambra. Perseus Exclusif is a nice clone of Parfum de Marly's Pegasus Exclusif, slightly different in the opening. On the dry down, very similar to the original scent. It's an interesting mix of almond, slightly bitter almond with a lot of vanillic sweetness. You get some freshness. All around, it's an interesting powdery, sweet, slightly bitter, nutty scent profile. I've never been a huge fan of the original scent and all of its clones, so I cannot say that I've been overly enjoying Perseus Exclusif, but at the same time, on its own, this is not a bad fragrance if you like that original DNA, and this is a good take that's very cheap and has very decent performance. When it comes to Karat, this is a very nice take on Kirke. Very similar to the original DNA, although lacks a bit of the sweetness. This feels like a slightly fresher, more airy take. It's a very fruity, musky, vanillic, scent profile that has a bit of freshness as well, quite a bit of freshness as well. Definitely a unisex fragrance that definitely leans to the feminine side. And so guys, in today's video I showed you two fragrances from Maison Alhambra, Perseus Exclusif and Karat. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.